Hi, I'm Mrs. Miller, a kindergarten teacher here at Clyde Elementary School, and I'm going to share with you today some ways to help your kindergartner with learning numbers and counting skills. So one of the things that we use at school, and most people will have available, is a set of number cards that have the numbers on the front. Some of them will also have the words, which is great for reading and identifying the words with the numbers. Initially we just want to have with the number and not with the dots and things in front, because they could actually count those dots unless you cover them up. So we just want them to be fluent with the numbers. So we would just do them like the traditional flashcards, where you hold them up and you give them 2 or 3 seconds to say the number. So they would say 3, 6, 2, and so on. If they had one that was wrong, let's say instead of saying 4, they said 5 or 9, I would set it off to the side, so that when you were all finished, then you could pick up the cards of the ones that they did not know and just review those again. And if they didn't know it, just say, this is the number 4, and have them repeat and say 4. And just keep working through those until they're skillful at knowing all their numbers. At the beginning of the year, if they're not familiar with very many numbers, I would start with just 0 to 10 until they're completely skilled at those and know those well. And then, as we work through those, add in numbers 11 to 20. Those are the numbers they specifically need to be able to identify and write throughout kindergarten. Once they've identified all the numbers, then I would start working on counting order with them, making sure they can either rotely count it in their head, so they can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 20. By the end of kindergarten, they need to be able to count all the way to 100. So starting with 20, and then 50 would be the next goal, 75 and 100 by the end of the year. Many students will get there before the end of the year. So being able to count verbally, but then also being able to recognize missing numbers. So let's say you had I'll show you on a writing board. Let's say you had number 7, and then 8, and then you left a blank. You can do it with cards laid out in front. You can do it with writing it on a board or a paper, and you want to ask them, to read the numbers and then say what the next number is. Start first with the missing number being at the end. Then you would want to do in the middle, so maybe you had 5 blank 7, and they would have to tell you what's in the middle. That would be the next hardest skill. The hardest one is to fill in the very first number. So you might leave blank 2, 3, because when you say 2, 3, they automatically want to say 4. They're used to counting order. But we just want them to be able to know what number goes in the front. So picking different areas, not always starting with number 1, of numbers that they could fill in. So both verbally and written. Speaking of written, when they're writing their numbers on the board, don't be surprised if sometimes they reverse them. We call that a reversal, a number reversal. So maybe instead of writing number 3 like this, which is our target, maybe they go like this. And you're like, oh, that's backwards. Don't worry, that doesn't mean your child has a reading problem or a number problem. It's very typical in kindergarten, even into first grade sometimes. Just gently remind them, nope, this is what they look like. Practice writing it this way, and they'll be fine. Another good math skill that we like for them to do is being able to count objects with what we call one-to-one correspondence. So that means for each object, which I have some pennies here, each object says one number. So when I count it, that's 1, 2, 3, because what happens with students in kindergarten, sometimes into first, but usually throughout kindergarten you'll see this, they'll want to count and they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'll say 2 numbers for one item. Or conversely, they'll just count and keep pointing and not say a number for each one. So either way they're going to get a wrong answer. So an easy way to do that is using everyday objects such as pennies, or it could be pieces of macaroni, or cotton balls, or cubes, or whatever you have laying around. And you have them, as they count them, instead of just pointing, it gets a little messy in a pile. They don't know which ones they've already counted, so I have them slide them over. So we can say 1 and slide it over away. 2, 3, 4. We want them to be able to do this counting with one-to-one correspondence, so they get the correct answer, up to items with 20 of them in a group. So that's another math concept that they're going to be needing to learn by the time that they're at the end of kindergarten. With the numbers and the writing of the numbers, you can use either the writing board, or you can even go back and use the number cards. As they've mastered these skills that I've already talked about, we do teach addition and subtraction with the answers up to 10. So you can use the number board or you can use the cards, and you can start making some addition and subtraction number problems for them. For example, if you're just using the board, you can just say 2 plus 3 equals, and leave a blank for them. Traditional way to do it. Then using objects such as the pennies, you can have them form those groups. 2 pennies plus 1, 2, 3 pennies. Put the two groups together, have them count how many all together, and find their answer. Using objects helps them to visualize and see what that group actually is and count a correct answer. You could also use some index cards and make your own plus signs, your own minus signs, your own equal signs, and use those number cards and create it with cards and have them practice with their addition and subtraction as well. So I hope you enjoy doing some math skills with your kindergarten student. Thank you.